Wolfpack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, rotostreetjournal.com. We breed and feed fantasy wolves here with your week 2 rankings update, kind of switching things up while also giving you a Thursday night football kickoff because we got football back again, baby. Week 1 was crazy. Week 2 is bound to be even crazier because we got some huge news to cover. That's why I'm doing an update, because so much has transpired between my show on Tuesday and today that I have to get you updated on the latest. One of the biggest developments, we're going to start at running back. Get your sit starts in as well, always. And if you're catching the replay, feel free to comment in and let us know your questions. We will make sure to try to get to all of them. And of course, we'll be back Sunday at 11 a.m. with all your final takes for your sit starts. But get them on in now, comment them. I'll get to them in between certain news nuggets, especially if they have to do with Thursday night football. We want to make sure you get them all. Let's start, though, with Monday night Miles Sanders. Not playing on Monday night, but we do have Miles Sanders here, expected to be active. I don't know if I have him in my rankings. I do already, so let me get back to here. While I'm finding him, 21. So this is about where I have him, but the fact he's practicing in full makes me feel a little bit better. The Rams defense, obviously a tougher D-line. If Lane Johnson was fully ready to go, I'd feel even better about him, but he was questionable at practice. The fact that Sanders got full, though, it makes you think they thought they had the game in the bag against the Washington football team. Clearly, they did not, and you got to imagine they know they have to go back to the well. And Boston Scott got dinged up. Who knows if he's even healthy right now? So Miles Sanders could be in load for an immediate huge workload share. So I think now that that's confirmed and we know he's got to be going, right, practicing in full, be a shocker if he doesn't. I have him right up at RB16, probably over Ronald Jones here, despite loving the Ronald Jones smash spot for Carolina. Let me bring this in for you folks, getting this up, add to stream. So you can see the rankings as I go. So yeah, Miles Sanders there. Maybe even above Mixon. It's close. I really think Mixon could light it up here on Thursday Night Football. Let me know if you have a Mixon question. If you're in these top 15, though, you're probably not worried about benching anybody. I think another thing we have to make sure we check in on is James Conner. And I don't believe I have him ranked, James Conner, because I thought it was, for sure he was going to be sitting. And then he goes and gets a full practice. So let me add him into the rankings here. And Benny Snell I had ranked pretty much as if we were going to have Conner going, but practicing in full, it makes you kind of wonder, now, did they just hold him out because they had that game in control pretty much the entire time against the pathetic Giants? And then, maybe they could have got him back in if it was a truly emergency spot. So with Conner, you have to be somewhat cautious. I had Benny Snell at 24. I think that's right around where I have to have Conner. One, because who knows if this thing's going to flare up, the most injury-prone guy in the league. But if it doesn't, it's a good spot. I mean, Denver, a tougher run defense. So I guess, I probably would rather have Hines in a pass-happy script, potential, back-and-forth shootout game against that awful Minnesota secondary. Obviously, you can't have Benny Snell in your starting lineup, but the reports did come out that they would not be shocked to see Benny Snell be a 1A to Conner even after he returns. That's coming from The Athletic. I don't personally buy that. Tomlin just loves him some James Conner. And again, he was the running back 9 on all the full games he played last year. So Conner has some real upside if he's full. If they were just playing it safe, right here around running back 25 is where he'd slide into my rankings, baking in that injury risk. Let me know if you have any Conner questions. Keep them all coming. I promise, again, I will get to them all. Also sidelined, and now potentially beyond week 2, we're going to move. Those are the only running back updates. I'm going to move now to wide receiver here. A.J. Brown, possibly beyond week 2 with Corey with a bone bruise, and Corey Davis could end up being the play. So as this loads, let me just quickly pump. If you're willing to give this a like, a share, if you're on a Facebook group and you drop it in, getting discovered means the world to us, so we'd greatly appreciate any help there. And of course, keep your comments coming. We will cover them as soon as we rip through this news. But A.J. Brown, who I was expecting a huge bounce back week, Jacksonville, obviously horrendous, obviously god-awful, but sadly not going to be giving it a go this week. Or it doesn't seem it. It will update you on Sunday if any new news comes out. But that does mean Corey Davis, who clearly not a huge fan of, is also fresh off 8 targets, 7 catches, 101 yards. Looked pretty damn good doing it. I said I'd never do it again. There's nobody I've spit more venom about. But man, if Corey Davis plays, only 17% owned, at least that number has to go up, especially with the fact that it might not just be a 1 week streamer. I mean, looked good last week, now gets Jacksonville, so a pretty good smash spot at only 17% owned. But then what if we get more time missed from A.J. Brown? He is Corey Davis, dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury himself, was limited today, but could be in play this week. It's a matter of over Tyler Boyd, who you'd have to have in there tonight. I think I might be a little too low on here, but man, it could be the play. He's only 4K too, Corey Davis, on DraftKings, so he's right up in here. I think I like Paris Campbell more. That's kind of where I draw the line. Paris Campbell getting a Vikings defense gave up the most points to wide receivers this last week, but right about there. So many good cheap wide receivers on DraftKings this week too. Don't miss my DraftKings Saturday Wake and Bake, where we will go over fully all those cheap receiver plays, how I'm constructing my lineups, but that is definitely the focus. But Corey Davis being one of them at 4K, certainly an option. Paris Campbell just a little bit ahead of him. It's where he slides in. Bigger news now, Chris Godwin potentially missing time, concussion, at risk for Sunday and possibly longer. So let me find Godwin here. It seems at this point like he's not going to play. I have him up here at 10. Just doesn't seem likely. And so he gets pulled out here. They're saying even Dr. Chow tweets out that he might miss several weeks. He's worried about the midweek lapse. It seemed like it wasn't going to be an issue. And now we've got these concerns popping up. Could be a several week, according to Dr. Chow, injury. That's going to be a huge concern for you. So probably not playing this week. That bumps up Mike Evans, who we're going to talk about in a second, but let's get him bumped up. I'd have him, right here in my top 10 guys. Hamstring concern maybe keeps him down slightly, but I like him this week, and I'm going to talk about why I love him so much in a second. I think you also have to bump up Scotty Miller, who I think led the team in targets last week, has a drop away from leading the team in yardage, and his narrative would have been a whole lot different. Now you get number one banged up, the other number one banged up and probably missing the game. I think Scotty Miller, I have him right in this 36, maybe a bit above Corey Davis. Let me know again your questions on Miller, Davis, some of these intriguing wide receiver streams. It is definitely the week to look for that. But yeah, love me some Godwin. And I like Scotty Miller. I mean, love me some Mike Evans, love me some Scotty Miller with Godwin potentially out. And now speaking of Mike Evans, like I said, bumped him up to, my top 10 here. He thinks he's over the hump. We already have Bruce Arians verbally greasing his wheels, saying anytime he doesn't get 10 plus targets, it makes him feel bad. Oh, Arians feels bad. How sad. But you got to imagine, Arians was throwing some shade at Brady, trying to get Evans fired up. And I think this is a classic squeaky wheel smash spot for Mike Evans. So you can see top 10 there. And he played almost all the snaps. They said, quote, they were cautious with him on his deep routes because of the hamstring, but that Mike Evans, thinks he's over the hump. So if they're going to start using him their normal way, which is sending him deep, making him threaten the defense, targeting him relentlessly because of that squeaky wheel. Oh, and wait, he's facing Carolina, one of the worst defenses in the leagues. To me, this is the classic Mike Evans rebound. I feel like it's a tradition where he has a dud and then puts up 38 at 6,400 on DraftKings too. Mike Evans is in a smash spot. I would absolutely have him in all my lineups. Wide receiver who did smash last week, but now is at risk to miss, is Jameson Crowder. Misses Thursday practice and is labeled legitimately questionable for the tilt against the 49ers. Said he's not, Adam Gase says Crowder's not a candidate for the IR, so it shouldn't be too serious, but you might be looking, without him for this week. San Fran, not a great target anyways to go after. Yeah, Hopkins just put up, ridiculous 16 targets and 14 receptions, an insane total, but that's Hopkins. That's not Jameson Crowder. So his status severely in doubt, and you got to be a little bit nervous now against the 49ers here. What could you do behind him if you're desperate? Well, Perriman, 15% owned, $3,800 on DraftKings. I'd first definitely look to Davis, Scotty Miller instead of Perriman, but those two would be, if those two are gone and you have Perriman, I guess, I don't feel great about it, but we've seen him have huge days. Could be that little DFS flyer that gets your team over the top. Last couple here. Oh, I got to make sure to adjust the rankings as I go here. Bumped Mike Evans up. Got to get Crowder out of here for now, as he's unlikely to play. And I'll give Perriman just that slight bump up maybe over, the Brian Edwards types, the Brandon Cooks types. But now let's turn our attention to George Kittle. Doesn't practice Thursday with the knee. And is expected to be limited even if he plays, which is now severely in doubt. And facing the Jets, I don't know that you have to force George Kittle back. So the main implication, I think, is Brandon Aiyuk gets a nice little bump up right around, I already had him pretty high because he was facing the Jets, but he might be their only weapon. He practiced in full today, which puts him squarely on that streaming rate, or 4,300 on DraftKings. Definitely could also be, again, I love these cheap receivers. I think this is definitely the week you go cheap at wide receiver and load up the bell cows. We'll, again, do more DFS specific on Saturday, but also Jordan Reed, 2,600 against, again, the Jets pieces of shit Jets defense. Jordan Reed could go bananas even at 2,600. That would be the type of DraftKings swinger. Probably will be pretty chalky if we get a Kittle confirmed out, but just a name to file down, maybe make a couple lineups around him at your tight end spot. Then we got to check in on Devante Parker, limited in practice with that hamstring injury that kept him out the entire second half against that tough Patriots defense. I don't think I have him ranked. I do have him right here at 42. I'm not feeling great about him right now. I'd probably bump him down because even if he plays, definite risk to re-aggravate it, miss some time. And on the flip side, I kind of like Preston, up here at 42 more than I like Devontae. I'd probably have Preston just above Robbie Anderson, right in this range here. I like him, don't love him. So that's just another note to check out for you here. And then I see your comments coming in. Don't worry, guys. I will be right there to answer all your questions. The main reason I do it, I just want to update these rankings, and then I'll hit them. I got 3 more notes for you. Banged up Broncos. Cortland Sutton practices, but questionable. Had a decent one, according to Vic Fangio. So he can become an option, but he's facing a brutal Pitt secondary. Could be at risk to sit. Can't say I love it here. So I'm not looking to get him in my lineup. I'd probably even stream Robbie Anderson. Jerry Jeudy, of course, gets a little bit of a bump up if he misses time. Just something to track in case he does play or not. Phillip Lindsay, meanwhile, not expected to play. Doesn't really impact my ranking too much of Gordon, who's already the lead back. Makes, Royce Freeman a desperation streamer, and I mean desperate, really like sickeningly desperate streamer if you need it, but could be a bad option. I can't actually endorse Royce Freeman. Let's be real here, guys. And then last 2 notes, Kenny Golladay likely to miss week 2. That doesn't mean Marvin Jones could rebound. I know so many people pissed off about last week, and rightfully so. The number 1 wide receiver is Marvin Jones. Not ranked in my thing here. Marvin. Oh yeah, there he is, 26. So as you can see, I'm already pretty high on him. I'm going to give him a little bump again over Edelman now at this point because I love the smash spot. If Galladay's out, I think he rebounds nicely against a really bad Green Bay defense. I think they're right around like the 7th, 8th in terms of points allowed to the wide receiver position. This has that classic post-type bounce back, more expensive on DraftKings despite underwhelming so many owners that went to him. I think, that 200 price bump will keep him low owned, and we could get that 150 2 TD Marvin Jones day that everybody was hoping for last week with way less ownership now. So I like Marvin Jones. I think Danny Amendola, 3% owned right now, also becomes a viable streamer. Just a nice little target magnet over the middle for Matt Stafford against a team that got roasted out of the slot by Adam Thielen. And last but not least, Henry Ruggs, questionable, not practicing with a knee injury. And given that he's on Monday Night Football, it is very tough to wait it out for him. Now, the matchup is pretty good if he does play, but it's getting tricky and tricky. And I guess New Orleans, not even that much. According to last year's stats, yes, they would be a good smash spot. But on this secondary, after getting Janoris Jenkins, kind of 2 number 1 corners, I'm not overly excited about Henry Ruggs. Certainly not looking to hold him out hope for a Monday night smash. You could have like a Traquan Smith type of, if Ruggs doesn't play, you can go Traquan. But I'm not necessarily looking for a Ruggs in my lineup with these questionable notes. Alrighty, guys, that's all the news so far. Those are going to be the updated rankings on the site. You can find him at rotostreetjournal.com. The rest of the time is to get your lineups ready. What's going on, Scout Pan? Love having you. You always bring some great nuggets to the show, so keep them coming. Liked and shared. Thank you, Tunes. Anybody out there that just jumped in, if you are willing to like and share it is very much appreciated. Wolf pick 2 for my man Daniel Howland. Classic Danny Howland. Love to see you. Galladay's probably going to be out, so let's cross him off. Boyd, Deontay Johnson, or Preston Williams? Great questions. I think I do go Boyd. I give him one last shot. Oh, Thursday night football coming up. And my Celtics, baby. Look at the Wolves sacrificing his Thursday night. The Celtics playing right now as we speak to get you guys your insight. You better give me that like for it. But no, I go Boyd, I think, tonight. If we're looking through the rankings right now, let's kind of see how I have him stacked up. But gut-wise, I'm saying Boyd, and I really love what I saw out of Deontay Johnson. Yeah, see him even higher up here at 31, seeing the highest target share of all those Steelers. Yeah, Juju got all the buzz, but we saw also, too, coverage dictated. That was the report by Vic Fangio, that Corey Davis got peppered a little more than A.J. Brown. What if they sell out to stop Juju, these Broncos D? And then Deontay gets that number 2 lighted up treatment. So I love having him in. Yeah, I like Preston Williams, and especially if they miss time there, Devante Parker. But I feel better about Boyd. I feel better about Deontay Johnson. Tough question, though, Danny. Good one there. Sanders or Hines? Asked Daniel as well. I'm guessing you're asking Miles Sanders. And I think you got to roll with your guy, your first or second rounder here. Love Hines. Think season long. He's got some real value here. But don't be surprised if this weekend it's like 150, 2 touchdowns, and Jonathan Taylor takes over bell cow duties either. It's not like Hines hasn't flashed and then disappeared before. I think this is different, especially with Marlon Mack now out. I really like Hines with Phillip Rivers. There's 17 targets to the fucking running backs last week. I mean, Hines is going to have some value, but Sanders is your horse. Let's be real here. Practicing in full, especially if Lane Johnson is back, Danny Howland. But of course, check back in on Sunday where we finalize these. John, who get a bump with A.J. Brown not looking good to play? Of course he does. Anybody whose target share is going to go up gets a little bit of a bump up. There's lots of good tight ends this week, though, Mike. But yeah, you got to also what you saw on Monday Night Football, too, after the catch. He looked just as good as advertised on that 20-yarder, tight end, touchdown there. Feeling good about my Jonnu over Gronk prediction this season. Mixon about to do work tonight. Sure could. Talk about a get-right matchup against this pathetic Browns defense that got steamrolled for 2 touchdowns on the ground last week. Definitely could see Mixon finding the end zone once or twice. Not out of the question. This is definitely also, though, a big measuring stick game, you got to admit, right, Mike? Like, if he doesn't get it done this week, you're starting to panic a little, because I would be. This is the matchup to start getting it done. RBBC is a big shift from Tomlin's love for feature backs. It's a true point, Scout Pan. If Benny Snell is truly that 1A, 1B type of matchup, I don't expect it, though. Like you say, Tomlin loves his feature backs. He even said, Connor's our workhorse. So I wouldn't expect a shift. If Connor's out there, he's probably healthy, and it means he's probably going to be a bell cow. So let's see come Sunday. If Snell's the guy, I put him right there at the top 24 too. Pick 2 to go with Jacobs. Hines, Sanders, Moss, Jay Kelly. I'm guessing this is the question you were just asking about. I think, get Sanders in there. And then I go Hines. I go Hines above Moss. And I liked Kelly. I love both those guys. Both looked good. Both getting goal line shares. In particular, Kelly really intrigues me. But I like Hines a lot more than both of them, season long and this week too. Which tight end would you cut of these 4? Hurst, LT3? Who the fuck's LT? Oh, Logan Thomas. Herndon, Gesicki. I didn't know we were already on nickname level for as long as LT3 is Logan Thomas. I'm guessing K19 Trust he is. I think I cut LT3, as sad as it is, the guy getting the new coined nickname. Gesicki looked like crap, didn't he? He didn't do shit on Sunday in a good matchup. It didn't look great. So I would say Gesicki I was down on coming into the year, and he showed all the reasons why, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe Gesicki, if you really are into LT3 after coining him a nickname. You can't really cut him there. CD Parker or Paris Campbell, asks Mikey Clay. I think CD Lamb here. I mean, you get Atlanta, no Blake Jarwin. He's out-targeted Gallup last week, and he looks really fucking good. And Cooper now limited as well. I honestly would not rule out CeeDee Lamb taking over a wide receiver one role if Cooper ever gets banged up there. And they're facing Atlanta, who legitimately Russell didn't have a contested throw last week. And I think that's less about Russell and more about how bad this defense is. Well, Russell's also amazing, but he's a beautiful contested ball thrower. So that's just how bad this Atlanta defense is. Dak is going to go fucking bananas. And I think CeeDee Lamb is a big part of that too. So yeah, give me CeeDee Lamb there, Mike. Nervous about McLaurin yet? No way. I mean, good corner on him, Slay. I'm a little nervous about Haskins, but no way I'm bailing on McLaurin. If people are starting to get nervous already, then hit me up. I will fucking buy low all day on Terry. He's still my boy. He still looked good while he was out there. If Ruggs gets usage similar to his first half, he's going to smash relative to rankings. I mean, he could, but are you going to wait it out on Monday Night Football? Like, what's your backup plan? Is Traquan Smith okay? Are you acceptable with Traquan Smith if he sits? It's risky, my man, Scout Pan. Do you go Emmanuel Sanders or Diggs for A.J. Brown full PPR? Are you asking like as a fill-in, David, or are you saying you trade them for you try to get A.J. Brown and buy low with his injury right now? So I think it's a good question. I would start this week. Diggs looked really promising, as did Josh Allen. So, David, I think I'm leaning Diggs, but it's close. I mean, Sanders, you see right here, Diggs 20, Sanders 24. Certainly close, but give me Diggs because I just did not like the way that Saints passing game looked in week one. And if Sanders draws number ones, let's see how he responds. Trade Evans straight up for Jonathan Taylor, yes. If you haven't seen it yet, my rest of season big board is up on rotostreetjournal.com, breeding and feeding fantasy wolves. And that can kind of help you gauge trades, Mike, and anybody else tuning in. And just to spoil it for you, Jonathan Taylor's in my top 10. So I think this guy's going to go fucking bananas the rest of the year. And I love Mike Evans. Now, can you get it done without giving up Evans? If his owner's looking to move him, can you buy low some other way? I don't want to give up Evans, but if that's the way to get it done, then yeah, get me some Jonathan Taylor, especially if you're deep at wide receiver and you need some running back help. What does Scotty profile as? It's a good question, Scout. I mean, this is my first time really watching him play last week, and I just saw a guy that Brady trusted. Brady hit in rhythm. That was where he was supposed to be, a reliable option, and that might have played a role in him out-targeting Evans. Like, it was that mold of receiver that Brady, obviously Edelman, Welker, like just short and fast, and I mean, it just looked like his next classic slot guy. So if Godwin's out and he's just that dominant slot weapon, and he didn't play all slot, he moved outside quite a bit too. I think Scotty could really have some nice games either time those guys are banged up, Evans and Godwin, and maybe even if not, definite stream this week. And as you said, I don't know much about him other than he looks like me, especially with the fresh new cut, right? Scotty Miller wishes he had this athleticism, though. I'm here. Don't worry. I'm here. Jeremiah, been holding my breath all day. Where the fuck's my boy? Needed it. I traded Goddard and Moss for Michael Thomas, #Wolf. I think that's a good play. Like, I love Goddard long-term. What if he takes over that number one role? Our guy, JT Tarantino, awesome article on the site. Great new writer. Wrote about how Goddard's kind of like Kareem Hunt at tight end, like a good usable option. And then if something happens to Ertz, he's a league winner. So I like Goddard. I'm not sitting here trying to make you feel bad about your trade, Jeremiah. I like Goddard. All that's to say, if I have a chance to move him and Moss, who looked good at the goal line but didn't do much else otherwise, to get Michael Thomas, that's the type of buy low. Like, you might have bought someone that just doesn't show up as himself the rest of the year. That's a risk. But if you get the right guy, let's say they rest him. I hope they put him on IR, honestly, so they can just avoid himself, because he's going to try to gut it out earlier than he should. But that's the type of move. In 3 weeks, if he's Michael Thomas, I mean, you're going to laugh in that person's face. I think that's a nice move, Jeremiah. Trade Singletary for Moss. I'd rather have Singletary than Moss, yes. I mean, it's kind of a lateral move. Like, it's, I'd rather have Moss, so do it. But can you package Singletary and somebody else if somebody's looking for him to get someone a step up? That's a question. Bring myself back here. I'm going to remove the rankings and show you just this lovely haircut the rest of the way. Melvin Gordon, Ronald Jones, or Ertz. It needs to be noted that Ertz is my second TE, and my league stuck me with him in the auction, so my pride is at stake if I bench him. Help, please. I mean, you have no pride. Let's be real, Pat Bailey. There's nothing left for you. I I think I have the Eagles tight end 1, whoever dropped him in our league. Thank God. I appreciate you. I would probably go Ronald Jones, though, if I'm going to be really honest with you, because 1, you do not have pride at stake. You own none. And 2, Ronald Jones gets that Carolina defense that we just saw Josh Jacobs steamroll for 3 touchdowns. I'm not saying Josh Jacobs is, Ronald Jones is Josh Jacobs. Not even close. Not even same stratosphere. But Jones got 17 of the carries compared to 5, 6 for Fournette. He got some goal line work, didn't pound one in. But if he sees 17 carries against this defense, as long as he's not vultured completely at the goal line, I think Jones is in a smash spot. I love him at like 5,600 on DraftKings too. So to me, I think I go Ronald Jones over Ertz there. Let's see how this tight end distribution shakes out, because it really could be a Goddard show from now on out. That's a risk. They cut off contract negotiations. Maybe they want to ride their young stallion and not let this guy pump up his value. Who knows there? But yeah, Ronald Jones. Preston Williams or Dobbins at flex for K Cool Whip. That's tricky because, Dobbins looks great on paper. 2 touchdowns, but if he didn't score those 2, it would be a nothing game. He was behind Ingram in terms of rushing share, 23% to 33%. Was just above him in snap share, though. If he keeps getting those goal line touches, I think you're gold and you can use him most of the time. And they do get, who do the Ravens get again? Hold on here, Brown. Let me search Marquise Brown. Houston, not a terrifying matchup for Dobbins. I think he finds the end zone. I'd probably go Dobbins there. Let's roll with him. PPR play. Paris Campbell or Chark this week. I keep rolling Chark. He is their number 1. Touchdown, didn't do much after it, but a clear number 1. As much as I like Paris against that Vikings defense that gave up the most points to wide receivers last week, I'm not benching a true number 1 for him, Joe Ferraro. Jacobs tuning, half-point PPR. I need 2 receivers and a flex. And we got Kupp, Allen, and Lockett. Hunt have the 3 wide receivers slotted. Do I switch it up and play Hunt in the flex? I don't think so. I think you keep rolling out those wide receivers. You could potentially consider Hunt over Keenan Allen. That offense was pretty hideous this last week, Jacob. So let me know if you're who you were considering benching. If I'm benching one of them, it would be Keenan Allen. Who does Keenan Allen get? Kansas City, a tougher secondary. They did pretty good outside of Will Fuller last week, but that could be Keenan Allen's game, is that short intermediate stuff. Oh man, that's tough because Cincy sucks too for Kareem Hunt, and he outscored Nick Chubb. But I have a feeling tonight's going to be a Nick Chubb bounce back. I don't have any reason necessarily for that other than I think they steamroll that D-line. I think this improved offensive line shows their face. So to me, I don't love Hunt in a positive game script. I think the Browns bounce back nice this week, but I could be dead wrong. And if they get down early, Hunt's going to be a really nice play. Again, outsnapped, out-touched, outproduced Chubb last week. Better tight end moving forward for Daniel Howland, Ingram or Goddard. I have him neck and neck. I'm going to keep Ingram just a little higher. I'm not abandoning, that Jason Garrett peppering his tight end because of 1 bad matchups against Pittsburgh. I think Ingram's still an athletic freak. He looked a little disinterested, though, on Monday Night Football. I was a little concerned with the effort level. It just didn't seem like he was fully going, which was a bit annoying. But ultimately, I lean Ingram season long. I think he rebounds. Nice buy low, in my opinion. Rip Picks, great to see you. Always tuning in. I love it. James Robinson, thoughts, half PPR. The guy saw all the rushing attempts outside of 2 for Laviska Shenault. You got to be okay with that. The Jags, they get this week Tennessee. Gordon had a couple nice runs on him. I don't love a Jags runner, though. Look at what Fournette did last year. That low touchdown shares because they suck. Minshew did look good. Okay, so, if they start actually running the ball at the stripe, Robinson could have a 1-2 TD day in him at any point. That being said, when have they run it at the stripe? It just doesn't happen, it seems. And Minshew is very efficient, so I don't know they take the ball out of his hands. They've got clear receiving back in front of him. So I like Robinson. I'm not thrilled by him yet, but you got to be encouraged by the rushing workload. And if the TDs come, they could come at any point. In Tennessee, not a bad matchup for him either. Let me know if you're considering him or somebody else. That'd make it a question easier. Trade Singletary for Moss. I already answered that one, but yes, although I would try to move Singletary in a package for somebody else if somebody's actually chomping at the bit for him. Would you start Connor over Akers, Kelly, James Robinson? I would if we get that, like, he's fully ready to go. He's expected to be the bell cow. Now, if reports come out, testing it out or going to limit his workload to keep him fresh, anything like that, Cool Whip, we will be the first to bench him and first to update you. In which case, if I bench him, I'm probably going James Robinson of those three, the more surest workload. But for right now, I think I go Connor. Someone dropped Brandy Martin. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Somebody dropped James Conner. Should I drop Sanders or B. Scott? B. Scott, get rid of him. No need for him now that Sanders is back in full. He didn't do shit when he got his start. Let's get rid of that guy. I'm ready to cut him. I have Jay Taylor. Do I pick up Wilkins in case he goes down? Waste of a watt. Like, you're gonna start fucking Wilkins? No, we're not going that deep. What's Wilkins gonna do if he gets starts? That just becomes the Hines show even further. And JT's not going down. He's a fucking cyborg. So no. Mike Keenan, Kittle or Landry in my flex. Have Miller as a backup if Kittle doesn't play. I mean, I might go Miller regardless. Like, let's be real here. I mean, Landry against Cincy's certainly got us juice to it, Mike Keenan, but I think I am leaning Scotty Miller for the chance to play Kittle. I have Landry. I like Landry this week. I mean, where do I have Landry slotted in here? Is he fully healthy? Landry, Scotty Miller just below him. So that's tricky, but I think I'd kind of sit and wait it out. It's not like you're like thrilled to play Landry tonight, right? Here comes 150 and 2. But I don't think I'm going Landry, my friend. I think I wait that one out. But I don't know if I trust Kittle either. Like, I think I'm just kind of waiting that one out. If I can't make a decision here. Part of me is just like, go Landry. But if you go Landry, you can't put him in the flex because Thursday night, this is a good like tactical point here, folks. Never start a Thursday night player in your flex because then your situations lose flexibility when you come to the Sunday night showdowns. If you plan him, put him in a wide receiver spot, put whoever you would have had at wide receiver 2 or 3 in your flex, just in case the unthinkable happens. Brandy Martin, that would leave me Swift, Eckler, Cook, R. Jones as RBs. Yeah, drop Boston Scott, get yourself James Conner, way more upside season long. Jay Allen or K. Murray, asks Jim McMillan. I got to go K. Murray. I mean, the dude diced up a tough San Fran defense. The Konami code, that rushing, 90-something yards, all the way in effect. And now gets an even easier matchup against Washington. Yeah, their D front is pretty deadly, but Wentz is a statue. I could see Murray running all over these guys as he gets pressured. What the fuck's with your question here, Kellis Talks? Like Singletary over Moss getting goal line. It's such a lateral move. Like either get more creative or just accept that Moss is getting the goal line work. I have Moss over Singletary. I said, yes, do the deal, but try to do something bigger if somebody actually wants Singletary. Moss is better. Yes, I agreed with that. I would do the deal if that's what you got. But what's that really doing for your team? It's kind of a lateral move, just a slight upgrade. So if somebody's targeting Singletary, I would see if you can squeeze something else out of him by pairing Singletary and something else is what I'm getting at. Let me know if that makes sense too. Judy or Edelman for the long haul on your bench, asks Cassie. I like Edelman. I mean, the run-heavy script's obviously a concern. We saw 15 attempts from Cam Newton. That being said, though, there's going to be weeks where they don't, and Edelman and Cam had a huge, everything was that Edelman's the only guy he's going to because he's the only guy he has to go to, the only guy showing anything in camp. So even this game was a little bit negative. We saw end arounds. We saw creative usage. If it's for my bench, I'm going Edelman. Brandy Martin, Julio, Juju, or Sutton. Is there a question there, or are you just saying who you have? You kind of might need a wide receiver 3 backup plan there, Brandy, with Sutton a little dinged up. With Evans questionable, do I start both Green and Boyd? No, Evans is playing, Mitch. You missed us early. Show up on time next time. 7 p.m. Be here. Evans, though, says he's over the hump. Godwin also potentially not playing. I think this is Evans' smash week. We're getting 2 touchdowns. We're getting 180. We're getting a 38-point fucking crazy-ass day. Play yourself some Mike Evans this week. Traded Goddard for Diggs. Good move. Yeah, it depends on your tight ends, but I think that's selling high. Yeah. But it also depends how the season goes, right? Like if Ertz goes down, then I'd much rather have Goddard than Diggs. He'll be a top 2 tight end, top 3 tight end. But I see it depending on your wide receiver and tight end situation. Need to fill 2 flex, half PPR, my man Scout Pan. Gibson, Akers, Djax, McKinnon, MVS, Corey Davis, 2 flex. Oh man, like that's a tricky one because you can make the case for all and you can make the case against them all. I am debating a similar like flex question. I think I get Corey in if he's playing. This is one Scout. Make sure you check back in on Sunday because we're going to have a lot to unfurl here, right? I think, if Lane Johnson's playing, that bumps up Djax in that matchup. If Gibson is like endorsed at some point before Sunday, he's a no-brainer. Arizona gave up a ton of receiving work last week to running backs and that horrible, pursuit angles and stuff. I could see Gibson exploiting that. I don't know that I trust Akers quite yet. Saw some work, but Brown just significantly outproduced him. Let's see what that happens there. Whom is your TE without Goddard? Oh, so you're probably asking if, with the trade for Mike Keenan there. Have Kelsey and Kittle? Yeah, then yes, absolutely. He's never touching your lineup then. That's like the perfect, like you bought him with Fab and sold him for a nice high price. I like it, Mike. Smart wolf play. It would be Allen benched, but they have to throw it to keep up in KC. Ask Jacob. I'm not sure. Can you remember what you're referring to? Great trade. How'd you get both? Yeah, so I totally agree with that. Solid play here. Can Sanders fill the shoes of my injured Thomas? Emmanuel? Do you have both? I know he's never going to be Mike Thomas, but he's a decent fallback. It softens the blow for your already pathetic team that I bent the fuck over my knee and slapped all over the space. Ben Lawler, what was it, 140 to 85? You pathetic loser. So much fun spanking you this week. So hey, maybe he fills in and softens the blow, but your team is just a joke, Benjamin. Got to use the show to talk shit to the boys in the league whenever I can. Great moment to do so. Then Woods, then Taylor. Not sure what we're talking about anymore, but your team sounds really good, Mike Keenan. Just learned that last week. Getting a lot of comments. Yeah, he's set for the season. No clue what anybody's talking about anymore. Get your fucking questions straight, folks. With A.J. Brown out, would you slot E. Sanders in or Marvin Jones? Should I target a free agent? That's tricky because both guys, if Golladay out, M. Jones gets bumped up, Sanders gets bumped up. I think Sanders is a little bit safer. Look at this, Tunes. If you see him in my rankings here, let me pull it in myself by accident, pressing the wrong button. You see Sanders and Jones literally neck and neck, 24 and 25. Like, you're flipping a fucking coin. If you need upside, though, Jones is the one that has the better, like, 152 TD ceiling, whereas Sanders, I could see, like, a nice sturdy 70 yards, 6 catches if he finds the end zone, sweet. But I think that Lions and Green Bay game could really shoot out. So I lean to that one. So I'll reflect that in my ranking and put Marvin Jones above Sanders. And let me remove my rankings here and keep showing you this beautiful face. Do you think Scotty Miller could be the new Edelman? I mean, it's a narrative that could happen. So yeah, I don't hate it, but Edelman was the number one. Miller will never be the main vein when you got Godwin and Evans, but that type of rapport seems a little bit similar, does it not? I thought I didn't see my first message. My bad, dog. Nah, my dude. I got you, Kellis. But yeah, that's my play there. I just traded A.J. Brown for Goddard, 12-team PPR, other tight ends, Ingram, OJ, other wide receivers, M. Brown, Woods, A-Rob. I think you got robbed. I'm sorry, 909 Orbits, but I think A.J. Brown, someone bought real low on him. Even if he misses the next couple of weeks, that dude's a freak talent. I mean, if this is the price he's going for right now, I have Goddard. I'd move Goddard in a second to get A.J. Brown. And I like Goddard. This is nothing against Goddard. I'm really happy about him. But you have Ingram. I mean, I like Ingram. Unless you're saying you got A.J. Brown, then you fleeced him. But me personally, I would not have traded A.J. Brown away to get Goddard, especially if I had Evan Ingram on my team. Sit one guy, Woods, Allen Robinson, Sanders, or more. I probably sit Sanders there, despite liking his matchup, just like the other guys more. Do I flex? I mean, you get Robinson squeaky real too, right? So I like that play. Do I flex Campbell or Lamb this week? Leaning Campbell. That's tricky. I have them pretty neck and neck. Here's Paris Campbell, CeeDee Lamb at 32. I love that Atlanta matchup. I think it's a fucking smash spot for CeeDee Lamb. So I'm leaning CD. Mitchell, that's where I'm going. Tannehill or Stafford, asked David Cooper. I lean Stafford. I think as I was talking about earlier, I really think that one shoots out this week. Hooked on kicks. Boyd is startable. It just depends who your other option is, right? Someone could be so kind to comment in how the Celtics are doing right now. I would greatly appreciate it. Miles Sanders, not Emmanuel Sanders. That's tricky. Can you comment in again, Kay Ellis, what the question was? I forget the options. I know Woods was one of them. But Miles Sanders does change things a bit. You must have a stacked team to be considering those to bench. Yes, I have Lamb higher. I have Lamb 32 and Campbell 34. And I think Lamb's ceiling is just astronomical this week against Atlanta. For the BF, one flex, half PPR. D. Jackson, Diggs, A. Miller, D. Johnson, Fournette, or Peterson. Lots of options here. I think for the flex, I'm leaning. It comes down to Deontay or Diggs is the two options, and I'm going to go Diggs. Miami, just bad, just real bad. So give me Miami. Josh Allen and that offense were exciting. They moved the ball. They hucked it even though they were up. I like the passing game flow for that offense. Just traded Carson and CD for Taylor and Chubb. Thoughts? I think you absolutely ripped this dude to shreds. Are you fucking kidding me? What leagues are you guys in that this is happening? Unbelievable Z-balls. Well done in terms of selling high. Like, I like Carson, but the dude saw 6 carries. He got out-carried by Carson Hyde. And then CeeDee Lamb, do I love his upside? Of course I do. I just gushed about it twice. But Taylor, I have top 10 the rest of the season overall. Taylor's going to fucking eat. And then Chubb, that's the ultimate buy low. Like, concerned about Hunt? Yes, of course. He's outscored him in like 7 of their last 8-9 games together in terms of PPR. But this is a guy that was drafted round 2, round 1, because he's a great fit for the zone block, great improved line. When the game scripts are positive, Chubb's going to be 150 and 2, more often than not. I think you absolutely fleece them by getting Taylor and Chubb for those two guys. Full PPR, James White, Zach Moss, James Robinson. I am leaning. White seems like the play because it's like negative game script means positive passing situations. But James Robinson feels a little bit safer. Tennessee, not, difficult run D, but that's some volume. That's some goal line work. I think I go James. AJ Green or Galladay, PPR. I go Green. No, I think Galladay's not playing, so it comes down to Gallup or Green. I think I bench Green for Gallup with that juicy slate against Atlanta coming up. We got Thursday Night Football contest posted, folks. So I'm going to take one quick second from the broadcast, pump that while I also retweet it. There's going to be 5 matchups posted tonight: Burrow versus Baker, Chubb versus Mixon. We got a bunch there in potential there with what else? The receivers, Boyd versus AJ Brown. If you get them all right, then you win a free Roto Street shirt. And they're very exclusive stuff here. I think only 25 shirts out there in existence. So, try to win this stuff. I'm going to tweet it out on my line. You can find it on our Instagram or our Facebook as well. Comment there. If you tag 3 friends or more, obviously is even more appreciated, then I like it even further. CJ, you comment that it's up here. I look at Twitter and it's not fucking up. So I don't know what you're talking about as I pump this shit. So get it fucking right. Let's go. You can find it on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I don't see it on the Twitter. I don't know where it is. Yeah, your betting lines. Get that shit up. Stop. Get that shit out of here. All righty. Here we go. Eckler, Malcolm Brown, Rager, McKinnon, E. Sanders, pick 2 for flex, full PPR. You're not benching Eckler yet. Let's not overreact. Looked really good on his touches. 84 yards was underwhelming, especially the low receiving work. CJ, tag me on Twitter when you put it up too. Eckler, you can't bail on him yet, and it's full PPR like that. They're gonna correct that. So from there, it comes down to Malcolm or E. Sanders for me. Not Rager, not McKinnon. Love both guys on the bench, but it comes down to Brown or Sanders, and it comes down to how much you believe in Malcolm Brown. He could put in, Peyton Barber plugged in 2 ugly touchdowns against that defense. Wouldn't be surprised to see Brown do the same. So I think I'm leaning Eckler and Brown, especially because Brown got all those receiving money touches too. Thank you. Good luck this weekend, guys. Go Chiefs. Fuck your Chiefs. Go Pats. But Mitchell, thanks for tuning in and commenting as always. We always appreciate it. 40-33 Celtics. Thanks, Hillary Margaret, with 9 minutes left in the second. That's much appreciated. 40-33 Boston. Thanks, Tunes. Rob Gronk. You can find the contest on Facebook, Instagram, and maybe Twitter at some point if CJ gets his fucking head out of his ass. Rob Gronk or CJ Uzuma. Oh, boy. I'm going Gronk, but I don't like either. Sit one of these. Miles Sanders, Robert Woods, DJ Moore, Allen Robinson. I am sitting. Thanks for getting that comment back in there, K. Ellis. I would sit DJ Moore out of all these guys. That target share, he led the team on targets with 9, and 9's like pretty healthy, but Anderson saw 8. And, Curtis Samuel saw 8. It's so spread. Like, there's going to be just an even slate. And there's, just as Robbie Anderson did last week, any given week, a different Panthers receiver could be the big one. So out of those options, they're all so good. I bench more. We love you, Wolf. Thank you. We love you. Love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I was asking if Boyd would be a good start tonight. I have Crowder, Marvin Jones, or P. Campbell as starters. With Crowder dinged up, I might get Boyd in because Crowder's looking unlikely to play, and then he gets San Fran anyways. So you're getting a less than 100 Crowder. Make sure you don't put Boyd in your flex. But yeah, I think I get Boyd in there over Jay Crowder. Breeze, Bridgewater on my team, or should I go Tannehill, Big Ben, Stafford, or Minshew? I like owning Big Ben. I mean, roped in 3 touchdowns, looked fully healthy, elbow feeling fine. And Breeze was pathetic, and now he's without his alpha number 1. I dare I say I cut Breeze over Teddy Bridge? I think so. A-Rob, Ridley, Moore, 8-team league, start 1. Well, I'm never going to answer a fucking 8-teamer. Come on. Get it together. Grow up. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, get in a 10 or 12. Get 10. 10's joke, so 8 I feel even worse about. But give me Ridley. Ridley just lit it up. But A-Rob, the squeaky wheel, getting that treatment could happen. Ridley, you see, though, on my number 5 receiver. So after last week, how would you put him on the bench? 40-33, go Celtics. You a Boston guy, K. Ellis? You from around here? I'm up in the North Shore of Beverly. Let me know where you're from, my dude. Celtics up 7 in second. Love to hear it. Tannehill, thank you guys for all the generous updates here. Tannehill or Bridgewater? I lean where do I have them in my rankings? That if AJ Brown was playing, it'd be a no-brainer. Tannehill put up two throwing, 2 rushing against Jacksonville last year. But with him questionable, Teddy Bridge gets Tampa Bay. That looks like a shootout. I think I still go Tanny, but it's definitely closer now. I think I got to bump down Tannehill just a smidge, right at QB 14 now. Start Moss over Gibson or Gibson. Good question. Gibson only seeing 33% of the snaps, less, 17 carries for Peyton Barber. What was that disgusting shit? I'd probably go Gibson though. That big play from Mostert against Arizona shows you how exploitable they are. If they see that on film, they're going to use Gibson in that type of role. If James Conner plays, do I go him over Hines, Edmonds, and Akers? I think it comes down to definitely not Edmonds and definitely not Akers. Conner versus Hines. How much are you willing to stomach Rusty B of risk? I probably go Conner over Hines, but that's only if it's like he's clear, he's healthy, he's the bell cow. If any talk of Snell being a 1B type of thing, then no. So that's why you're starting those guys, Moss or Gibson. I go Gibson. Well, you got Miami, though. You know what? Moss versus Gibson against Miami. I think Moss is definitely finding the end zone. So give me him, Mitchell. I'm going back on my word. Chenault, Scotty Miller, Brian Edwards, or Golden Tate. Hurting after M. Thomas from Mr. Giuseppe, a longtime fan. Love you, Giuseppe. I go Scotty Mills this week with all those injuries there in a shootout-style game. Pathetic Carolina D. And PPR, I think he catches a lot of balls too. James White or Cream, Hunt flex. I'm going to go Hunt there, Giuseppe. So get him in for tonight's action. And the last question we got for Hooked on Kicks, DK or Boyd. Give me DK all motherfucking day. Come on, Hooked on Kicks. Don't you make that a question. I know the Patriots secondary is scary. DK is also an animal. So I go DK. Alrighty. Thank you, Giuseppe. All love to you, my man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am the Wolf of Roto Street at Roto Street Wolf. Find all my work and so much other great stuff at Roto Street Journal. Plug in our workload report, our sit starts, new tools coming out, new graphics, all that great stuff. Keep checking on in. We just hit our fucking millionth view, and I am beyond thrilled about it. After all these years of grinding, we are getting there, folks, and it's because of all the stuff you have. Yes, I said Miller. I'm with you there, Giuseppe. And thank you guys again for supporting the show. Updated rankings will be posted at rotostreetjournal.com, and we will, of course, be back with you Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time for the bigger Sunday tailgate. So put them up, chug it down. Let's get ready for a week 2 of fucking domination, folks. See you later.